Hello, and welcome to Canadian Rights Reviews, where we examine the ins and outs of Canadian rights, freedoms, laws, and policies. I had just completed and posted the video on the unlawful detention and arrest of Andrew McLean. Within an hour I received further details from a fellow YouTuber. I could have likely found some of this information on my own, had I looked. I made the mistake of assuming, as there was no follow-up on Mr. McLean's channel, and the channel was dormant for a long period, that there was nothing else to find. Lesson learned. The fellow YouTuber we can thank for this is Dan, aka Not So Silent, aka News Now Victoria. Dan has several YouTube channels, including the Not So Silent channel, posted his interview with Andrew McLean in October 2016. Where a small portion of today's video comes from. News Now Victoria, where Dan posts his fundamental freedom evaluations. These evaluations are a Canadian version of First Amendment audits, as you would see on American YouTube channels. In his evaluations he is calm and professional and does a great job. He has plenty of content and I highly recommend you check out both channels. Links will be provided in the text description of this video along with all other relevant links, including my initial review of Mr. McLean's interaction with Saanich police. After reviewing all the additional material, here is the breakdown of what I have found. Mr. McLean's interaction that evening was with Constable Francisco Avales. Following the incident, Mr. McLean filed an official complaint with the BC Office of the Police Complaint Commissioner, OPCC. The complaint alleged abuse of authority, citing unnecessary force and unlawful detention. While a lawsuit was considered, Mr. McLean decided against pursuing this avenue. The Saanich police performed an internal investigation, and their discipline authority released their findings October 14, 2016. They found that Mr. McLean's stop was reasonable, but that the arrest was in fact unlawful. However, they also found that Mr. McLean's allegations of abuse of authority were unsubstantiated. The report stated that the constable's understanding of the law was lacking, but ultimately found there was no wrongdoing on the part of the officer, as reported by CTV News on October 17, 2016. Essentially, the Saanich police investigated themselves, and found they did nothing wrong. After this finding of no wrongdoing, Dan from Not So Silent sat down with Mr. McLean for an interview. I have included brief parts of this interview in this video. A link will be in the description to view the full video on the Not So Silent channel. The OPCC disagreed with the discipline authority's findings. On December 7, 2016, retired BC Court of Appeal Judge Wally Appal was appointed to review the evidence. A Section 117 review, as per the BC Police Act. On January 25, 2017, Mr. Wally Appal issued his Notice of Adjudicator's decision. This decision substantiated the abuse of authority allegations, in both the area of unnecessary force and unlawful detainment. A disciplinary hearing is to be set. Personally, I found reading the decision fascinating, as Mr. Appal followed the same logic, considered much of the same factors, and cited the same case law as I did, during my video review of the interaction. Link in the description. iHeartRadio published a story on this the following day, which was later updated to include comments from Mr. McLean. He stated, he's happy the adjudicator ruled in his favor, but he'll reserve judgment until disciplinary action has been handed down. Further, he doesn't think the officer's actions would have ever been investigated, or made public, had he not recorded their interaction on his cell phone. We could not agree more on that. Keep your phones and cameras handy. It is the most effective way of enforcing accountability. The disciplinary hearing, referred to as a pre-hearing conference, was held February 15, 2017. The final result was a verbal reprimand, for both of the abuses of authority. When deciding on the discipline, many factors were considered, including service record, actions Constable Avales has taken to educate himself, and likelihood of future misconduct. If you wish to delve further into that, once again, link in the description. I am not going to take issue with the discipline. I do not know enough about the inner workings of the police to know how a verbal reprimand affects Constable Avales versus other forms of discipline. Clearly there is a written record. However, I am left feeling, I am lacking proper closure. I think that closure may have come, knowing Constable Avales, at some point, officially or not, had actually apologized to Mr. McLean. That's it for my part. I'll leave you with a little of Mr. McLean's interview by Not So Silent.
And he pulled me over by actually driving into the bike lane. So let's keep that in mind. He apparently safely pulled me over by driving his car into the bike lane of an oncoming cyclist. And this was apparently safe, according to him. And immediately got out of his car and immediately demanded my ID. At no point did he introduce himself. He never gave me his name. My rights were never read to me. Eventually I was released without charge, because this is a symptomatic of a larger issue. It's not an issue with one cop, but rather a policing culture as a whole.
At that point, early on, what did you expect the discipline for the officer would be, having not only assaulted you, but also searched and arrested you unlawfully?
Well, honestly, I didn't expect he would be disciplined, maybe because I've come to expect that with police complaints in general from everything that I've seen on them.
Has the officer attempted to reach out and apologize to you for his error, or reached out to you to explain his misunderstanding about the arrest process?
Not at all. Haven't heard from him since the arrest.
We will update you further if we learn of any meaningful developments in this case. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.